Illuvium Labs is a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO for short. They're the organization behind Illuvium, but the main game is just the starting point. Wait till you hear what Illuvium Labs has planned for the future. Illuvium Labs aims to be the first to create a true AAA game on the blockchain, and that's just the beginning. Illuvium may one day be the biggest franchise in the world, stacking up against Pokemon, Mario, and League of Legends. Blockchain technology allows for true ownership of in-game assets in the form of NFTs and cryptocurrency. Each Illuvial caught will be an NFT on the blockchain that you can play the game with, and because of its scarcity, it'll have real-world value, so you can trade or sell it to other players if you wish. These Illuvials will only be available to capture for a set period of time, and once that time is done, there will be no more of that Illuvial caught ever again. The supply will be capped and deflationary if you consider the fact that you can fuse multiple Illuvials together to create its evolved form. As time goes on and more gamers enter the ecosystem, these NFTs, especially from the earlier generations, will be harder and harder to obtain. In theory, this should make these early Illuvials quite valuable. While we gear up for the launch of the main game, it's important to understand it doesn't stop there. The three Warwick brothers have a long-term vision that includes multiple generations of Illuvials, Illuvitars, and games. Yes, you heard that right. New games. Launching alongside the main game will be Illuvium Zero, a city builder game that will require virtual land with the objective to generate fuel and for crafting cosmetic skins through blueprints for the main game. And more games will come down the line. Kieran has even hinted at the possibility of third-party studios being able to submit a proposal for new games using the Illuvium IP and Illuvial NFTs. These two games are the backbones of the ecosystem. Illuvium, the main game, is where Illuvials will be caught. These Illuvials are NFTs, and will be the assets that every new game will be built around. Illuvium Zero will be where the fuel is farmed, and it will be the only source of fuel for all future games. I'll touch on this again later in the video. Before we start speculating on future Illuvium Labs games and the value each new game brings to the ecosystem, let's take a look at the team behind it all. In less than 2 years, the team has grown from 3 founders to well over 200 core contributors. These core contributors are the best of the best and are incentivized to do their very best work because most, if not all, are granted locked ILV tokens. The better the game is, the higher the token price will go. The more money the team members will make. The founders have a goal to acquire over 1,000 core contributors to build out this metaverse over the next 10 to 15 years. Originally, the first game was planned to have an open world to catch Illuvials and an auto battler for player versus player competitive matches, but quickly it escalated from there. Currently, the main game consists of the overworld. This is where you'll catch Illuvials and find other useful resources. Survival mode, where you battle waves of Illuvials with increased difficulty as a training mode to improve your skills. Ascendant Arena, where PvP matches occur and players can battle with standardized Illuvials to work their way up the leaderboards. In the Leviathan Arena, which is where Ethereum can be wagered in battle, and the true strength of each Illuvial will be paramount. As mentioned earlier, the ecosystem will revolve around the Illuvials caught in the main game and the fuel generated in Illuvium Zero. Each new game that is developed will bring increased utility and therefore value to these assets. Let's say, for example, you're not really interested in catching Illuvials in the overworld, or an auto battler is not your thing, so you decide not to play the main game. A year later, you see Illuvium Labs has created a first-person shooter game. Naturally, the game looks of AAA quality, and you decide now that you want to play. Well, now you need Illuvials to play this game, and you have 2 options. You jump into the main overworld and catch some for yourself, or you buy some of these Illuvials off other players on the Illuvidex. New games may also bring new use cases for fuel farmed in Illuvium Zero. And what does this mean? Well, it's simple supply and demand. The supply of each Illuvial will be capped at some point, and fuel-producing land will not increase after all 100,000 land plots are sold. But the demand for these assets will increase as time goes on, and new games bring more and more utility. It's been mentioned before that the future games are being discussed and is only limited to imagination. And it's not just the imagination of the founders. Remember, this is a DAO, and how the DAO votes determines how the team will develop. Anyone can create an IIP, which stands for an Illuvium Improvement Proposal, for a new game. If the proposal gets enough traction from the community, it will be voted on by the DAO council members. It's been an ongoing joke that if the DAO votes to build an alluvial dating simulation game, they will build it. Just think of all the possibilities. A first-person shooter, kart racing, a platformer, a real-time strategy game, an MMORPG. Imagine a Super Smash Bros. Style fighter, or Mario Strikers with alluvials. Each new style of game that gets introduced to the Illuvium community will bring in new gamers. The Illuvium metaverse of games could grow to be the biggest interoperable gaming ecosystem ever. Just look at what Pokemon was able to accomplish, and there was very limited transferability of assets and almost no way to get a financial return from them. Kieran and the Illuvium team, as of late, have been hyping up Illuvitars. For a while, we believed this would simply be a customizable PFP to be used in-game. But we are now learning that these will come with a lot more utility. We now know the prices will be lowered, and there will be an album where you and others can view your Illuvitars. Collectors can even earn rewards by completing different collections. It reminds me of collecting Pokemon cards as a kid, but I won't need to lug around a giant binder to school to show them off. And I'd be willing to bet that there will be even more utility down the road. But we'll have to wait and see. Some will criticize Illuvium, say how the deadlines and roadmap dates have not been hit, and these critics are 100% correct. But the more you pay attention, the more you understand why. This team has not and will not accept a subpar product. And in addition to this, they are constantly coming up with new ideas and ways to bring more utility to what they already have. Just look at some of the early leaks of Illuvium Zero from over a year ago, and some of the most recent ones. They had a functioning game, but continued to improve upon it and polish it in order to bring more value to the investors and players. At this point, we all know a game is coming. We get new leaks in the Discord almost daily. And to be quite honest with you, the more the game gets delayed, the more bullish I get. I don't just want to play the best crypto game, I want to play the best game, period. Getting into Illuvium now is more than just betting on the main Illuvium game we know of right now. It's betting on the founders, the community, the ecosystem, and all future games within the Illuvium metaverse. But most of all, the intellectual property that is Illuvium.